Did you know that property taxes can vary by $8,600 per year, depending on which neighborhood in Seattle you choose to live in? That's like having to pay a whole extra month of mortgage in one 12-month period. If you're thinking about buying a home in the Emerald City, knowing about your property taxes isn't just smart, it's essential. Hey, I'm Brennan Klaus, your favorite Seattle area realtor, and today I want to take you through a little bit about what you need to understand about property taxes when you're purchasing a home in Seattle. And stay tuned because I'm going to take you through at 3 different price points what you could expect as your average annual tax bill. You won't want to miss those. So let's talk about the current state of Seattle property taxes right now. Seattle homeowners face some of the highest property taxes in the nation. With an average effective rate of 0.87%, Seattle ranks as the 5th most expensive city for property taxes among major US cities. Now that's according to the Seattle Times. While this rate is slightly below the national average of 1.02%, Seattle's sky-high home values mean you'll still pay a significant amount of more than you would in another city or state. So here's how you need a budget for property taxes. Current levy for Seattle taxes sits at $9.19 per $1,000 of assessed property value. This means that if you bought a home around $760,000, which is close to Seattle's median home price, you're looking at approximately $6,987 in annual property taxes. Now, frequently that's billed twice a year, so you split that in half, and often you're paying that through your escrow company, so you pay a monthly bill. Now, there are very dramatic neighborhood variation. Property taxes in Seattle vary by zip code, and this variation can honestly make or break your housing budget, so you need to be aware of it. The median property tax rate ranges from a low of 0.82% in areas like downtown and Belltown to a high of 1.17% in parts like Des Moines and Federal Way. Let's talk about some of the most expensive neighborhoods for property taxes, which are Capitol Hill and Madison Park, which is 98112. So if you're looking at a median average tax bill, that's about $11,019 annually. For Magnolia in 98199, this is about $9,581 annually. Then University District 98105 is about $9,506 annually. And then Northgate 98177 is also at $9,103 annually. Now let's compare that to the most affordable areas. So SeaTac 98148, it's about $2,337 annually when you look at the median average property tax bill. South of downtown or SoDo 98134, $3,455 annually. Now keep in mind that there's a lot fewer homes for sale in SoDo. There may be a difficulty there if you're thinking about buying in that area to save on taxes. You may have limited options. Also, International District 98104 is about $4,217 annually. And then Belltown 98121, which is about $4,404 annually when you're looking at the median average. There is literally a 372% difference between the highest and lowest tax areas, which can be equivalent to about $8,682 per year. So this is a huge variation, especially as you're thinking about your budget when you buy. So what drives these differences in taxes? There's several different factors that contribute across different neighborhoods. So the first one is levy districts and voter approved measures. So different areas fall under various taxing districts with different approved levies for schools, fire protection, things like parks and transit. So to give you an example, the highest residential property tax increase in 2025 this year occurred in Kenmore and Tukwila at 15%, largely due to the fire district and school levies. So if you're wondering what is a levy, that was a question I had as well. So a levy is the total amount of money that a local government or taxing district needs to raise through property taxes to fund its budget and provide public services. So these can include things like schools, police and fire protection, as well as roads and other municipal functions. So keep that in mind. A lot of these are voter approved. So the next one is fire district assignments. So your fire district can significantly impact your tax bill. Some areas saw increases of more than 89 cents per $1,000 of assessed value due to fire district charges. Now keep in mind, at the beginning of this video, we talked about how the current average is $9.19 per $1,000 of assessed value. So that's almost $1 more. That's getting into the $10 range if you're applying it to that. And then last but not least is assessment practices. King County reassesses all property taxes annually as of January 1st each year, and the assessed value determined by the King County Assessor's office forms the basis for your tax calculation. We're going to talk about that a little bit more. So let's get into what do you need to do if you're doing a budget and you're trying to plan for a strategy for your property tax bill. Well, think about your monthly budget. Property taxes add approximately $400 to $900 per month to your housing costs, depending on your home's value and the location. So you need to think about that going into the home buying process. For a typical Seattle home, you need to budget anywhere from $500 to $700 per month for property taxes. Also think about annual increases. So Seattle property taxes have increased dramatically in recent years. Property taxes were increased 89% from 2010 to 2021, a huge increase. King County saw a 6.4% increase in 2023 alone. Budget for these annual increases about 5 to 10% of your annual taxes, because there are things that will come up and there are surprises, or there are different assessments levied or voted on. So you do need to be aware of that. So here are some examples. If you're buying a $500,000 home, expect anywhere from $4,350 per year on average. The range is usually between $4,100 to $5,850. For a $750,000 home, expect $6,525 per year on average, or the range from $6,150 all the way up to $8,775. And for a $1 million home, expect an average of $8,700 per year in taxes. That range is anywhere from $8,200 to $11,700. Next is money saving opportunities. So as you're budgeting, it's really important to think about this. The first one is property tax appeals. This is huge. Between 30 to 60% of taxable properties may have inflated assessments from the county office, but fewer than 5% of taxpayers actually dispute their assessment. Once you receive the county's assessed value, you have 60 days from receiving that valuation to file an appeal. Now, when you file an appeal, you'll need to prove the value of your home is lower than they're actually saying it is. And if you need recent comparables, or you need to know the actual value of your home based on recent sales, I'm a realtor. You can reach out and I'll help you find those recent comparable sales. So don't hesitate to email me or text me, and let's talk about what the real value of your home is right now. Second, if you're a senior or you have a disability, there are exemptions. This is really important because this can reduce your taxes from anywhere to 30 to 90%. If you're 61 or older or disabled with a household income under $84,000 annually, you could save up to $5,000 each year through Washington's property tax exemption program, depending on your income level. And last but not least is assessment accuracy, similar to what we first talked about. Always verify that your property details are correct in the assessment that you get from the county, and be sure that there aren't simple errors like square footage or property characteristics that could cost you hundreds of dollars because the county is assessing your home as more expensive than it actually should be based on those characteristics. Now, let's talk about what you need to research before you actually buy. So first, check the levy district. So you want to look up exactly which taxing districts your potential home falls under. So different combinations of city, county, school, and special districts can create a wide variation of different property tax rates. Next, you want to review your assessment history so you can look up how assessed values have changed in your target neighborhood over recent recent years. Some areas see more volatility and swings than others. So be sure you understand what that looks like. And then third, factor in those future increases. We talked about this a little bit before, but make sure you budget that 5 to 10% extra per year. Seattle voters rarely turn down a tax increase based on historic levels. And so you want to budget conservatively for future levy approvals. So here are your next steps as a buyer. 1, use the King County Assessor's online tools to research exact tax amounts for properties that you're considering. Number 2, you want to calculate the full monthly housing cost, including taxes, and aim for no more than 30 to 40% of your gross income. If you need help reaching out to a lender to calculate this, don't hesitate to reach out because we can connect you to our trusted lenders as well when you're ready to start the process. Number 3, compare similar homes in different tax districts to see the impact on your budget. So you might want to look in 2 different zip codes to see how your budget goes with those different tax amounts. And then research upcoming ballot measures that could affect your property taxes if you do move into a specific neighborhood. And last, consider the long-term trend of tax increases in your chosen neighborhood. It's really important. So property taxes in Seattle are complex, I'm not going to lie, but they vary dramatically by the location that you choose. And they're rising faster than inflation. However, with proper research and budgeting, you can make informed decisions that will save you thousands of dollars over the life of your home ownership. Don't let property taxes be an afterthought in your buying process. You want to make sure to get ahead of this and make sure that you've researched these things in Seattle's expensive housing market so that you go in understanding the upfront costs of being a homeowner and you're not caught off guard and have to figure out a different financial situation. And you don't want to end up being house poor based on getting into a home that you'd had no idea about the taxes about. That's why we always advise that our buyers work with a lender on every single offer and make sure they understand the full cost that they're taking on monthly for any given address that they want to make an offer on. Remember that Seattle's property tax system rewards informed buyers who do their homework. So take the time to understand the tax implications of the current neighborhood that you want to be in because you will thank yourself for that later. If you have questions about taxes or about starting the home buying process and which neighborhoods to look in, don't hesitate to reach out. You can text or call for a free strategy call that you'll have with me and our team to talk through what your ideal goal is and how to get you there. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you again next time.